Hi and welcome to this week's video where I will be talking about how you can build better rapport. My name is Faye Cox and I'm a mindset and confidence coach. So let's dive in. Now, building rapport is really, really powerful and it's a really, really useful exercise. Whether you are trying to build rapport in your relationship with somebody you're hoping to have a relationship with, a new friend, new work colleagues, in an interview, with your staff, with anybody, quite frankly. Now, I work a lot with teenagers. And one of the things I learned very quickly on this steep learning curve whilst working with them is that they base everything on a know, like, and trust. So it takes a little bit of time to build that rapport with these children. So they get to know you, they get to like you, and then they get to trust you. But I've also discovered through an NLP technique that I use is that I can build that rapport quicker using this technique. You will probably find those people who know NLP are using this technique with you without you even realizing it. So I'm going to teach you this technique that you can use. So you can practice this with your partner, with some family members, let them know what you're doing, because actually, do you know what? They will get a benefit out of this too. There isn't anybody who wouldn't benefit from practicing and nailing this exercise. So to begin with, when you're trying to build rapport, and as you're speaking to somebody, really listen and notice what it is that they are saying and doing, even down to noticing how they're breathing, the speech patterns that they use, the wordings that they use. Now, these two things tend to reflect on one another. So if somebody is speaking fast, their breathing will tend to be a little faster too. If somebody's speaking slower, then their breathing will tend to match that and will be at a slower pace as well. Now, you can subtly mirror this by talking faster yourself or slowing your talking down. And that will automatically bring your breathing down to that same pace as well. You might notice, particularly if they are a faster talker, that their level of emotional intensity changes and is higher as well. So try to subtly match and mirror someone by doing what they are doing and even moving like they are moving. Now, this needs to be subtle, so I emphasize the word subtle. The last thing you want is to be in a room with somebody and them to think that, oh my God, this person's like me, why are they copying me? Because that is not going to build rapport. That's going to do the complete opposite. And that's why it's a really good idea to practice this with someone you know who knows that you're practicing this on them, so that you can really hone in on this technique until you get to that point where you know you're doing it subtly. Because once you practice this, and the more that you do this and the more subtle you become, the more natural it will become. And you'll get to a point where you're in meetings with people and you will just be mirroring and matching them, and you won't even realize that you're doing it, and you'll build that rapport really, really quickly. So something else that you can do while you're doing this is to match their tone of voice and the tempo as well. Use the same postures if possible. So the key is to find out what's possible, what's obvious, and what isn't at this point. Now, to take this step further, you can match how someone is even holding their hands or even their arms. So if somebody sat opposite you with their arms crossed, and some people would say that's closed body language, but some people find it comfortable. So you can sit back as they would. So as I'm sitting back in this chair, I'm sitting slightly to the side with my arms folded. You can't see, but I actually have my legs crossed and my legs crossed are going off in this direction. So if you were to mirror or match me, you would then subtly, as you're sitting, sort of sit back, get comfortable, subtly cross your arms like this and have your legs crossed, and we are mirroring each other, and that build will help to build that rapport. Now, say we're having a conversation and I'm nodding quite a lot, then again, you can mirror that by nodding along subtly. It builds a lot of that trust and that relationship. Now, these techniques are really, really great to use, especially when you're talking to your colleagues or when you're in an interview situation. Now, as I mentioned, the key is to be subtle here, because if you're not subtle, people are just going to think you're a bit of a weirdo. That's definitely not what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to achieve the complete opposite, so that in actual fact, you know what, when you're having those conversations, especially in those negotiations, you can actually get people with this technique to start to agree with you and actually do the things and have the conversation that you want them to have, because by doing this, you can start to lead that conversation. And that's a really powerful thing to be able to do. Now, there's 5 key ingredients to rapport building. Now, one of those things, the first one is confidentiality, and it's an essential element when it comes to gaining trust and building rapport. So the information that you're having in this conversation must remain confidential, because privacy is vital to building rapport. The second one is respect. It's another key element, because it shows people who you are. People are more likely to trust you, obviously, if there is that respect level there. Now, for me, respect is a two-way thing. Respect is earned and not given. And we can earn that in the way that we speak, the language that we're using when we're with people, through our empathy, through active listening, through providing encouragement and support through these conversations. And that brings us on to number 3, which is empathizing and being sensitive. People don't want people going in there being a bull in the china shop, because that doesn't show people that you want to build any kind of relationship with them. That kind of comes from our ego. So our ego will sometimes step ahead before we do and open its mouth without really realizing. And it's like being a bit of a bull in a china shop. And that's really not going to get us where we want to be. So the 4th one is strive to be genuine and authentic. So authenticity can be seen through. If you're not being authentic, people can really, really see through this. And it's something that we're taught in business very, very early on, is to be authentic, especially when we're selling our services. And the same can be when you're in a managerial or leadership role, is to make sure that we're being genuine and authentic. And the last one is to always take time to introduce yourself in a warm, professional manner, particularly if you're in the workplace or business related. Now, this may sound like really obvious one, but it's actually that first impression. How you welcome somebody, how you treat somebody from the very moment they walk through that door tells people a lot. So if they walk through the door, and you'll have had this experience yourself, you walk through a door, someone just goes, oh yes, sits down, doesn't give you any eye contact, doesn't shake your hand, doesn't ask you if you'd like a drink or anything like that, automatically you'll sort of feel a little bit distanced. It's not helping with any kind of connection. In fact, you generally disconnect, whether you're doing it on a conscious level or not. Now, if somebody welcomes you warmly, professionally and supportively, you are going to naturally connect, whether you're doing it on a conscious level or not. So you've heard the saying again, you know, like first impressions last, and they really, really do. So make sure that that first impression when you're talking to somebody is one that is going to help you build that rapport really, really quickly. Okay, that's it this week for rapport building. I will be back next week with another video. All that's left to say is have an amazing day, and I will see you soon. Take care.